Earlier this week, I watched this video of a SpaceX rocket land gracefully in the Indian Ocean and promptly explode. And if you are unfamiliar with how SpaceX works, you might have thought to yourself, damn, I'm glad that isn't my fault, only to learn that SpaceX, they planned for that rocket to explode. SpaceX did this to collect real-world data to use in future launches. They have this fail fast, learn faster philosophy. They understand that mistakes are gonna happen, but with each failure, there is an opportunity to learn. They prize real-world data over simulations because a computer cannot replicate all the possible situations and outcomes. So much so that SpaceX founder Elon Musk, he loves to post compilation videos of his rockets exploding.
Chills, literal chills.
But that brings up an interesting question. Matt, what does this have to do with scouting?
Oh my God, I forgot about that part.
And that's a fair question. I could use SpaceX to talk about some sweet STEM adventures, some space-centered merit badges, or cool space exhibits like those at the National Air and Space Museum in DC. But this video is actually about learning from failure. And if you're new to this channel, we're on a mission to inspire and inform new scouting parents and adult leaders. And if you've been around scouting for, I don't know, 10 minutes, you've likely heard the phrase that scouting is a safe place to fail. And that means a little bit something different to each scouting leader, but I think that there are these 4 points that we can all agree on, and hopefully you are teaching these to your scouts. Starting off, everyone fails in scouting. Yes, everyone. Each one of us has failed at some point in our scouting journey. You, me, your scoutmaster, any scout that's put on a uniform will fail at some point in the program. Forgotten forms, missing items for the requirements, or maybe just forgetting the food for camp in your freezer at home. Nobody is immune to failure in life, nor are they in scouting. This is an important lesson for you to teach your scouts, because the fear of failure, they can cause more mistakes or maybe even make you completely risk averse, like I'm going to talk about here in a moment. The lesson should be failure is okay as long as you learn from it, which brings us into number 2. I argue that failure produces some of the best lessons. I want you to think about a time when you forgot something or you made a mistake that took time, energy, or maybe even money to correct. How did that failure shape you? Did it make you more cautious about similar decisions? Did you develop a personal set of rules or tasks as a result? Did you go back and think, man, I really should have listened to that person who was trying to warn me? These are all natural responses to failure. However, with a little bit of reflection, you'll be doing all right, because you should look at it and think about how you could do better in the future. And that's because failure, we can use these as lessons for future decisions and projects. And hopefully you don't continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I think at this point you might be thinking to yourself, all right, Matt, so that's all fine and good after the fact, but what about in the middle of the failure? What about when I've identified the failure and now I have to deal with it? Well, that brings us into number 3, which is that failure enables problem solving. Another skill that you can practice through failure is problem solving. You've created this issue, now you have to deal with it. And while the Boy Scout motto is be prepared, sometimes being prepared means being ready to come up with creative solutions to problems. Your scouts forgot their tent poles at home? This is an opportunity to see if they can string up a tent between 2 trees. Or maybe practice making a shelter, I don't know. Forgot the fuel for their camp stove? How else can you safely heat your food? Does your food even need to be heated? Can you rotate meals because at the next campsite is an approved fire pit? I don't know, come up with a solution. The important things in scenarios like this is twofold. 1, make sure that you are adhering to the guide of safe scouting. And if that is true, don't rescue the scouts. They forgot their meat in the freezer at home? You just need to ask them open-ended questions. How are you going to correct this? Seriously, ask that of your scouts. How are you going to correct this? And don't accept, I don't know. You say, okay, I want you to go, I want you to reflect, I want you to ask your teammates, I want you to come up with a possible solution. You may only be a 15-minute drive from Walmart because you're camping at a site that allows you to have your car there, but you don't want to give them that answer. Let them ask, like, hey, Are we able to go to a nearby place and purchase this stuff? I don't know. Is that what you want to do? Is that what you guys have come up with? Are you going to pay for it in that manner after the fact? Whatever your solution is, just give me a solution and we could talk through it. That's the youth-led, adult-guided portion of it. You're not rescuing them. You're trying to see if they can come up with a possible solution. Because remember, it really is only truly a failure if you just give up and you never try again, which brings us into number 4. I personally believe that there are 2 main ways that people try to avoid failure to their own detriment. One is that they avoid failure by just not trying anything at all, which makes for a very boring life. I never have to worry about what can happen on my way to the mountaintop if I never decide to drive to the trailhead. Or 2, they get stuck in a analysis paralysis mode where they have to plan out every single detail before they'll take a risk. This is sometimes called being risk adverse. I want you to think about when you were learning to ride a bike. I mean, you can start off by learning on a balance bike and then maybe some training wheels, but you don't fully succeed or learn until you're actually up on those 2 wheels unaided. You can try to plan out everything, or you could just do a little bit of planning, because planning is important, and then just jump right into doing it and learn along the way. One of my favorite examples of this comes from an interview from this YouTube channel called EllieInSpace. This engineer talks about how NASA was going to tackle hypersonic re-entry into Mars, but SpaceX did this instead.
I knew somebody that was involved in the supersonic re-entry program at NASA, and he said, yeah, we were trying to find out if you could fly backwards into the Martian atmosphere, so you're firing your rocket engine into the direction of travel while you're slowing down. People were not sure that it was even possible. And he said, yeah, we had this whole program planned. We were going to do all these simulations on supercomputers, and then we were going to drop rockets off of high-altitude balloons, and then we were going to put rocket engines on high-speed train sleds and fire into the direction of travel, and then finally we were going to do it with real rockets. But, and this is almost, to the best of my memory, this is an exact quote. He said, but that darn Elon just went and tried it and it worked, and they canceled our whole program.
Oh my God.
Because Elon skipped to the last step.
Yeah.
He just tried it with a rocket.
Wow.
And here's the thing. That first attempt to land on a barge hit the barge and blew up.
Sure.
But it proved the supersonic retropropulsion worked because they got to the barge.
Yep.
They canceled the whole expensive program, even though it hit the barge and blew up, because it was a success for SRP.
So if a company like SpaceX is okay with blowing up a multi-million-dollar rocket, why are you as a scouting leader so worried about teaching knots to 8 and 10-year-olds? Why are you, as a scout, if you are still a youth, so worried about planning a campfire skit, a program, or giving a speech in front of your friends? What do you think is the worst that could happen if you try and maybe it doesn't go as planned? Chances are it won't be in the same realm as blowing up a multi-million-dollar rocket, so take a breath. Remember that no one is going to try to kill you for messing up. Hit that like and subscribe button and share these videos with all of your scouting friends, and just go with the flow. Remember, if you're doing your best, you're doing everything that we could have asked of you. But if you like what I'm doing here, please do all that great YouTube stuff down below. And if you want more great scouting content, check out these videos here. But with that, I've been Matt with the Roaming Scouter, and I'll see you out there.